What's up, everybody? Jersey here from windowcleaner.com. And as I wait for some people, by the way, when you come in, say hello. I got to change this week's or this month's magazine because the new issue came out for the American Window Cleaner magazine, and it is the T Squeegee and Squeegee Life Takeover magazine. If you didn't see on TikTok, if you're here, I'm live on TikTok and on YouTube. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Let me know. Say what's up. Say hello. I'd love to see you guys talking. If you're here too, subscribe if you're on my YouTube channel or if you're on TikTok. Just hello, because it's a thing. But I'm talking about Waterfed brushes today. I got a whole bunch of brushes with me, and I'll be going over those too. So if you guys got questions, let me know. But if you're seeing this, please comment what your favorite brush is. For me, it's going to be full boar's hair. It just is. It scrubs so much better, but we'll get to that. First and foremost, if you are new to the Zero line of stuff, Zero Pure, Zero Pro, just Zero in general, they are pretty much the best water-fed brand on the planet. Obviously, I'm partial. They're the biggest water-fed brand on the planet. Best warranty, best gear, best options, just amazing, obviously. And that's what I'm going to go over is the Zero brushes. And by the way, to start off, if you're here, I got to show you something here. Here's for TikTok. See that little square socket? Here's for YouTube, little square socket. So on the Zero stuff, they run a fast lock. So fast lock runs a square socket on the brush and the pole. So the brush is always at the right angle. It never unscrews itself, right? If you are running your brushes still with the OG, the original Euro thread, we got TikTok there and YouTube there. If you're running this, that's fine. It works. It's adjustable. It's fine. Screws on. But the downside with the Euro adapter, Euro angle adapter is that the brush comes unscrewed. This is like the biggest reason that I say cuss words out in the field is when you're in the middle of a job and that brush comes undone. So I hate that Euro. I'm so glad it changed over. Now all the brushes, all the Zero poles, all come in the fast lock, so your brush does not unscrew, which is amazing. Amazing. And another thing too, when I get into brushes, the Zero stuff comes with this bumper, which is like a silicone kind of little coating on there, kind of cover, whatever. This makes it so it's just quieter when it hits your frames, which is really, really pretty awesome. It's just another perk. It not something you need, but something that you may want. So really pretty cool there. By the way, if you're here, subscribe, follow, all that stuff, but comment, say hello, say hi. I'd love to see you. I would love to say what's up. But anyway, let's just jump into brushes. You guys got questions, ask away. Most of you who are in Waterfed already know what brush you like and what brush you prefer. But I'm going to start at the beginning. The first brush type, there's really 3 brushes in the composites, and you kind of can go rampant from there. But the first brush type is going to be nylon. Nylon is just the basic type. It's fine. It slides very good. There's less friction. The problem with this brush here and glass is that it doesn't scrub as well as the other ones. So if you're doing frequency cleans, that type of thing, it's definitely something that you want to kind of go into boar's hair. But the nylon is fine. It's good. Sergeant Cleans well. What's up, man? By the way, has a great TikTok channel. Hog's hair for the win. Nylon for my maintenance cleans. Exactly. He gets it. The nylon works fine, but it works if the windows aren't terribly dirty. So if you guys are in an area that's just like dusty, dirty windows like that, not really caked on stuff, a nylon works fine. And I want to go out there and show you a tip. The first tip is this. When you get a brush or you use a brush, you see these bristles are kind of like bent, kind of bent right here. See that on TikTok, both of it. Bristles will always bend like that from using it, especially shipping, transport, all that. Just take your brush, drop your brush into hot water for like 2 minutes, and everything relaxes. It's literally like magic. So you could do that on any of your brushes. So if you ever buy a brush or you like think you trashed it, you didn't. Absolutely something that you can fix. By the way, great question. No, you do not need to clean a water-fed brush typically. Um, Usually, when you're using your water fed, if there's cobwebs and stuff like that, that's different. But if you don't get grease on it, so like say you're doing a window and it's like over a grill or something, then you have to degrease it, but it's pretty rare. So yeah, you don't have to clean your brushes. Get the webs off. That's pretty much all you need to do. Um, that's all I need to do, at least. And then the next brush up from nylon is going to be your hybrid. A hybrid brush is nylon on the outsides and boar's hair on the inside. If you're from New York, you're going to call it boar's head. That's a lunch meat, but you guys are really in love with that lunch meat for some reason. So boar's head, boar's hair, whatever. But the way that this works, this brush, the reason that there's the two types and one is longer is that in boar's hair is a natural fiber and it tends to kind of weep, right? It'll sag down. You won't be able to get the corners quite as well, that type of thing. So with a hybrid, you have the predictability of nylon because when this is wet or dry, it's the same. You can get into the corners a little bit better because they're predictable bristles. And then when you push harder, you can tell then the boar's hair connects. This is a great brush. This is the brush that comes on like every uh, uh, pole that you buy, every zero pole, the most common brush by far. Thank you, by the way, if you're on TikTok for the hearts. Thanks. It's fantastic. Awesome. But this particular brush with the boar's hair in there is not going to scrub quite as well as a full boar's hair because the nylon holds it off the glass. You got to push a little bit harder for that. But this is the most common brush by far. This is like, man, we sell probably hundreds to one on this. This brush is the most common. The other thing with these brushes is on top of scrubbing, you have to figure out how long they're going to last. They wear out. Brushes eventually go and wear out. By the way, when I say that too, I had a guy just yesterday who bought his brush in 2021 on his pole. He's never changed his brush. He's like, no, it works fine. So cool. Like, I'm going to wear a new pair of socks sometimes. I just am. So same thing with brushes. Hybrid, this is a good brush. Super popular, but not quite as much scrubbing as the King, which is your full boar's hair. Again, if you are in New York, you may call it a boar's head, but again, lunch meat. But the boar's hair brush is all boar's hair. And this brush is going to scrub better than anything else that's there. But the downside is this brush is going to have more drag on the glass and it's going to wear out faster. Meaning you may get 6 months out of a boar's hair brush, depending on how hard you push. I mean, maybe even less. But that is going to scrub the window that much better. And full boar's hair brush does not have anything to hold it off the glass. Like nylon, there's no dual trim. It's all single, right? Because nothing holds it off. It's just boar's hair. And the other thing is that brush does not brush from the very tip. It brushes on the side of the bristle. So why does boar's hair work so much better is because the fiber of the hair is actually textured. So it's like microfibered thing where a nylon, these are DuPont fibers, which is great, but it's smooth on the side. And that's the part that does the cleaning. That's why it doesn't work quite as well. But a boar's hair is going to have more friction. It's going to have more friction, but it's also going to clean better. So pros and cons, pros and cons. By the way, I already mentioned this a bit before. Please follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. And then, of course, say hi, comments, and hearts if you're on TikTok, and thumbs up if you're on YouTube. But all the brushes on the Zero line now are coming with, how to make that work, is a square socket. So a square socket like this is going to make it so this brush does not come off. It doesn't unscrew like the old Euro threads. The Euro threads, brush unscrews, and then I cuss a lot. That's what happens. And I don't want to cuss, so switching over to this is actually pretty phenomenal. And then here's one other tip or trick or secret of boar's hair. And I'm going to do this on kind of both ones because I'm on a couple platforms. But you can see on TikTok first, we have two different size bristles. There's for YouTube, you see there's short bristles and long bristles. Okay. So boar's hair, we're going to nerd out. So put on your nerd hats. But boar's hair is a plugged fiber. Okay. So what that means basically is when you get something like a nylon, they take those nylon fibers and they can bend them over and make a fiber. You have both sides, and then you have like this tuffet. When they are producing a boar's hair, they take a tuffet of hair and put it in, kind of glue it in. Okay. When they bend the hair over, you get two sides. You get your thick side, which is closer to the scalp, and then you have your thin side, which is farther away. The thin side is the softer fiber. The thick side, obviously, is harder, right? We'll go back. I'll show you the both sides. Thick is the dark, thin is the light. Thick is the dark, thin is the light, right? When a brush wears, you're always going to have the edges wear first, just because you have different kind of motions on that. But you're also going to have the fine fibers break first. So when you see somebody with a brush that's like really, really worn, it doesn't, it kind of shrinks on the one side, but it all gets down to just this really thick fiber. And it still scrubs. It scrubs closer to the glass and a little bit harder, but it still scrubs. The natural fiber of the boar's hair is kind of its doing and its curse, kind of all together, right? By the way, thank you for all the hearts on TikTok. But that's really kind of what happens when a fiber then releases, because you can see that not all these fibers are kind of lined up. There's a couple of them that I could probably pull, maybe not. Well, anyway, you're going to lose fibers in this. It's like eating a donut with sprinkles on it. It's never happened that you've eaten a donut with sprinkles on it and the sprinkles have all stayed on the donut. They fall, right? It's the same thing with fibers. That is the dumbest analogy I think I've ever made. Anyway, but that's kind of what it is, right? You're always going to be losing the fibers, and the fibers will pull out. So, but here's the thing: when a brush is wet and the fiber is wet, the fiber stays on the glass, right? If it stays on the glass, you're like, oh my gosh, there's hair on the glass. These people are going to complain about. As soon as it dries, which is what we're waiting for, it blows off. Then it's just dry hair on the glass. You don't see normal dry hair on the glass, right? T Mac said, you always respond to me on the website. Yeah, man. If you're on chat, I am on chat Monday and Tuesday. Mondays are my day from where. Mondays I'm on chat, live chat, windowcleaner.com. I'm on live chat on Mondays from I get in the office about 8, but I jump on chat at 10 and I go until 11 at night. And I have a 20-minute break in between where I drive home because I'm in my office. And anyway, the rest of the time I'm on there. If I have to, pee, you may have a little bit of a delay. But anyway, that's absolutely true. I'm on chat here starting also in 15 minutes. So if you're around and you're on windowcleaner.com, by the way, if you want to buy something, I obviously want to do that. If you just want to say what's up, do that too. Jump on chat, live chat. Just say, I want to help. And then be like, yeah, what's up? And then you can see. It's either me, it's Steve-O, it's Austin, Johnny B, or Zane on the weekend. So anyway. Sergeant Cleanswell, by the way, said, I have a hog's hair that is worn down. I use it for super stubborn dirt in NC. Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's worn, it still works. People just kind of complain and go, well, this thing's worn out. It absolutely is. It is a wear item. Brushes just in general. Nylon will last longer because it doesn't change the cleaning power. Like your nylon doesn't clean better in the beginning or worse later because it's a natural fiber, where boar's hair changes kind of how it cleans, but it's also not a big deal. Yo on TikTok, what's up? Hey now, that's absolutely right, man. Absolutely right. I gotta get back to doing TikToks too. Like I was doing a ton, and I'm trying to have the time for that. My daughter is supposed to be working for me for some social media stuff and kind of getting together a lot of the content, or at least helping with that. So we'll see. We'll see if that helps. I don't know. But yes, anyway, back to kind of all the pieces. You have two options. Again, you have a threaded version. This is Euro thread. This is not a painter's pole, by the way. This is not at all a painter's pole. It's a tapered thread. Let's do this. You can kind of see it. It's a tapered thread, and it's a fine thread. So this is not like a painter's pole. That's an Acme thread. You can't use Waterfed on a painter's pole. It's not um, stiff enough to scrub, so you don't want to do it. And some people are like, "Oh, I want to save some money." It's not really the thing that you want to do. Use a Waterfed. But this is the older style. This is Euro thread because Waterfed kind of was developed more in Europe and kind of came over. This is the thread that was used for that forever. The new version of connection for your brush is going to be a square socket. That square socket is a huge, huge improvement. Brushes just don't come unscrewed. So yeah, like you're saying, it just does not come unscrewed. You just click it in, click it out. It's that easy. And if you're switching between brushes, all you do is push the button, pop the thing off, you're good to go. Put on another brush. Pop, pop, pop. Everything is easy. The connections on the back are all push fittings. For the hose, so you can pop it on, pop it off. Yes, you can totally change between the two, for sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the badges and hearts and all that. Thank you for following. Thanks for thumbs up. Thanks for comments, all that stuff. But yes, there are also scrubbers. Great point. So scrubbers are different than brushes. Brushes get the frames and the glass. Scrubbers don't get the frames. You want to clean the frames every time unless you're doing frequency cleans. That's where scrubbers come in. You have deep scrubbers. You have pad holder types. Things like that. Those are a little bit more aggressive, but they don't do the frame. So if you're doing solar cleaning, things like that, then that could definitely be big. But yeah, great point. There are scrubbers. So scrubbers are kind of the next version. And then on the back of your brush, which I don't actually have, but on the back of your brush, you can put what's called a zero contact scrubber. And that is a pad holder for a walnut pad, and it makes a Y. So your brush comes off the one side, and then your pad holder kind of comes off the other. That's also great. That is a way that you can deep scrub on glass, which is fantastic. If you get into something you're scrubbing, no matter what brush you're using, and say it's like some really caked on bird dew or something, and you really need a little bit more, what you can do is flip that thing over, scrub it deep, and you're back up and running. So yeah, it's really pretty awesome. But again, it's an option, something to have, something to do. It's all personal preference. I always tell people the funny thing about window cleaning in general too is that everybody argues about it like it's fact, but it's Ford and Chevy. So when you're talking about it and you're like, oh, you know what, I really like the boar's hair, it's not necessarily that the boar's hair is better for all situations. It's just you like that. So yeah. The kitty committee, thank you for that. By the way, if you guys are going to the Huge, he reminded me, Huge convention's coming up in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'll be flying into Nashville. We'll be there the 19th, which is a Tuesday, all the way through that Saturday. So if you're there, make sure to say what's up. Huge conventions in Nashville. I have a discount code still, I think, but now that it's August, I think it's only $50 off. But anyway, pretty interesting to go on that. Hopefully you guys are going to the Huge convention. I don't know if you are or not. But anyway, back to it. These are the brushes. As I'm throwing things on the ground, these are the brush types. That's it. These are the composites. There is also a synthetic boar's hair brush. I'm not a fan. I don't know what that is even for, but it is what it is. And here's another thing. If you're doing solar panels, you do not need a different brush for solar panels than you do for windows. It's the same thing. Solar is just windows that are kind of flat instead of on a face. Yeah, there's like some coatings and other things. I get that. But it's pretty much the same. You don't need anything fancy. Here's a industry tip. If you see any product that says the word solar on it, right? Solar brush, solar pole, solar whatever, it's more than likely just for more mojo. Because like a solar pole, yes, there's a fiberglass base, like an Insupole. Those are great. Those are a sectional pole you put on the bottom to insulate it from electric, and that is super easy. It's really, really easy to add that on, and they're sold at cost. They're like 40 something dollars. That is something specific for solar or anything, but there's no necessarily difference between that. So anyway, if you're looking, then you don't need to go something specific solar. So big squeegee, can you use a non-abrasive pad on solar? You can try. The coating that's on there, I've not ever followed the coating. And I've had walnut pads on there. I have done quite a few different things on solar panels, and I've never followed the coating, but some of them are not great. But the newer coatings are a bit more abrasive or a bit more durable. So always try a spot on there on the panels. We're really hoping for panels to be clean enough that they start producing more. So if you have something that's really, really on there now, with this being said, I had somebody with overspray over the panels. Their neighbor painted their house and just nuked theirs with like stain. Then you're kind of screwed. That's kind of sucky because then you can't do too much on that, right? But uh, I've even used razors on panels and have not had damage. I'm not telling you to do that, but test the spot, see, if you're careful, it could still kind of work. But panels are usually covered with a type of coating to kind of absorb sun. So, yeah. Yo-Yo just said steel wool. Steel wool works. I've used that on panels too. I don't always use that because again, I'm not as worried to get everything off on a panel unless it's like super noticeable. Like the way that panels work and the way that the cells are is that if a set of cells is shaded, your panel will not produce. It depends on if it's series, parallel, or whatever. But the idea is if you take a leaf and you stick a leaf to the front of the panel, you're not covering but only one little part. But the way that that has type of panels, obviously, there's different bypasses and things. Some of them have. But if that is covered, then the panel won't produce. So you're trying to clean that, right? So if there's dust on there, that's what you're taking off, right? If there's something crusty on that one piece, if there's bypasses, then part of that panel is still earning or making. And again, the panels are all different, but that's really the idea. So we're just trying to clean them, right? If there's dirt on there, then the absorption can't happen of the light. And if the absorption doesn't happen, then you can't produce the electricity. If you're not producing the electricity, then it's cheaper to get your windows cleaned than not because there's especially big solar fields. You can get your panels cleaned and make back your cleaning costs in like just a couple weeks. It's really pretty shocking. There's probably ones that do it even, depending on the size, probably even quicker than that, depending on how bad they are. But anyway, yeah, any of these brushes you see, you can use on panels. Always test a spot, yada yada, cover your butt. But even the more aggressive on the boar's hair, you can do on solar panels. So anyway, yeah, if you guys are around today, say what's up. Say hello. If you guys need to order something too, I would love to put your order in. It is what I do. I put orders in for people. I also help and I do all of that stuff. And you know what? It costs you nothing extra to have a dude in your back pocket, which doesn't sounded less creepy in my head. But you could have me put your orders in, big or small, water fed, anything. Help with fitment. All you have to do is just text me at 862-312-2026. That's my cell phone. Search my cell phone. It's literally everywhere. Just text me and be like, yo, it's in my cart, and I can put the order in. Would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, if you're going to be at the huge convention like Big Squeegee, yeah, make sure you say hi. Everybody goes to these things and they're like, "Oh, you were too busy and you didn't say hi." I want people to be obnoxious. I've had people be obnoxious in the airport, and it's great because a lot of times I travel with Steve, and I always really prefer people to say hello to me and then ask Steve who he is because, it's Steve. We did a live last night also, by the way, too. So if you're not subscribed to his channel, not to plug that, subscribe. Why not? It's free to subscribe. So go do those things. Anyway, I got to get on chat. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are killing it out there. Hopefully I don't know, it went from sweaty to rain in, I don't know where you are. So hopefully you guys are doing great. But either way, if you guys need anything from me, I would love to help. Give me a shout. And yeah, maybe we'll talk tomorrow. Bye, YouTube. Bye.